What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Supergirl Season 6, Episode 1, Rebirth. So this is the last season of Supergirl, which is bittersweet. Not because, bitter because it's the last season, but sweet because it's, gonna be a great final season. No. Bitter because I'm having to review this show again, but sweet because I don't have to after this season. To be fair, though, ever since Batwoman has entered my review, purview, I guess, yeah, Supergirl really is not as bad as Batwoman, to be fair. Not that there isn't still a lot of mind-numbingly frustrating things that the writing team does on Supergirl, but yeah, Batwoman is really a show that just takes a lot of those stupid decisions and elevates them to the next level. But getting into Supergirl, though, this first episode, pretty much what I expect. There wasn't really a whole lot that I enjoyed about it. None of it was really frustrating. It's just a lot of the same old stuff that I've seen on this show. You've got a lot of exposition explaining what's going on, Lex explaining his whole plan, and you've got a lot of self-gratification about all the characters. Characters talking about how amazing some of the other characters are and how they're so important. And, if anybody does anything wrong, there's always a speech about how to, get past it, and you got to rise above it, and you're stronger than this, and blah 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 blah. I've seen it so much, and this show does it probably the most out of any of the DC CW shows. It's just that constant, like, you're so amazing, you're gonna get past this, I know you, or whatever they want to say. The whole thing with Alex at the end was just the cherry on top of the cake, because season 1, Alex, maybe you could make this speech and it would make more sense. But ever since season 1, all they focused on with her has nothing to do with what John Johns is talking about at the end here. How, oh, you've done so much, you're just as much a hero as your sister is, you saved this. Like, she has obviously helped out a little bit, but they focused on so little of that since season 1. Like, season 1 was a nice balancing act between her trying to be a sister for Kara, but also her job at the DEO and trying to help save the world from these threats. Season 2, it was all about her coming out and getting to know Maggie. Season 3 was her and Maggie's relationship drama. How Maggie didn't want kids, but she did. Season 4, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, was mostly about her deciding she wanted kids and then becoming director of the DEO, because somehow that'll work itself out, right? She has more responsibility at the DEO now. So now, perfect time to try to become a mother, right? And then she meets Kelly, and now their relationship has just been hit on turbo to the point where at the end of this episode, when Lena was like, you need to tell her she's your person. Like, have they even known each other for a year yet? Because most of the time, my personal opinion, you don't know if it's true love or if it's gonna last until at least a year. Because I would say the honeymoon period for most relationships, probably about the first 6 months, first half a year that you're together. And then the bumps in the road start, but they normally start with smaller bumps. And then once you hit to the year point, that's when I do think some of the more serious bumps can start to show up. You've spent a lot of time together. You're starting to get to know, is this going to be long term? But they're already talking about Kelly and Alex as if like they've known each other for years. They've loved each other for years. Can we slow down a little bit, or are you just trying to speed through this because you want to get Alex into a marriage with somebody who is going to adopt a kid with her and help her raise a kid? Is that what is going on here? You're just trying to reach that point really quickly, so we're just speeding up this relationship as if it's been going on for a long, long time? Because, I don't know, maybe Maggie's actress wasn't available, so they had to cut that relationship off, but they needed another one, so they're just writing this one in really quickly. So yeah, all of that just, again, it's the writing team trying to tell the audience, hey, this is what we want you to think. But unless you show it, your audience isn't really going to agree with a lot of what's being said. They're just going to be sitting there going, why are they saying that? We've not seen any of this. So yeah, a lot of that was really ridiculous. Honestly, even the exposition part, like sometimes the exposition stuff can be somewhat interesting if what's going on is fun or exciting, but honestly, a lot of this was not. Lex basically explaining his whole plan that he had apparently all of last season. This feels like the writers sort of being like, well, it feels like we got kind of cut off last season. I'm guessing maybe because of the shutdown, maybe all of last season's, like all of the shows, they had to end a little short, because that's what I'm starting to gather from how last season ended for Batwoman, The Flash, and Supergirl. It feels like they all ended abruptly with no real conclusion. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe shutdowns got to them and they had to sort of stop their stories and then restart them at the beginning of next season just to wrap them up again, kind of like what happened with Eva, or what happened with Sophia in Batwoman. So I don't know if that's what happened, but if so, it feels like the writers sort of came back and thought, yeah, you know what, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. Let's just go ahead and cut it off now and start building up the next story, because Lex's whole plan, it just spilled in one episode, ended in one episode. You know, everything to do with Leviathan, obviously it sort of got cut off last season with Brainy shrinking them all and then sacrificing himself, and then all of a sudden whatever her name is, Gamerade or whatever, she comes back, first of all, with really hokey, over-the-top acting out of nowhere, and then an ugly CGI abomination shortly after that. So her whole scene was kind of dumb when they finally stopped her, and then they managed to save Brainy in the process, too. I'm thinking, okay, so he sacrificed himself, but not really, because we don't want anybody to be too sad when we're watching these shows. And then, yeah, like I said, they just go and they stop Lex's plan in this episode. They depower him, they stop all of his satellites, everything to do with Myriad and with the whole VR technology stuff. Done. So, all of last season was building to this point. Done in an episode. That's exciting, right? That's good writing, right? You build up all of this stuff and you finish it off in one episode. That's good, right? We don't need to spend more time actually showing how everybody is, whatever. So, yeah, a lot of that was dumb. Lex in the Fortress, admittedly, you know, he's probably been one of my favorite characters just because out of all the actors in the show, it feels like he's the one that's having the most fun in his role. Everybody else seems like they feel like they're really doing something powerful in their roles. Like, we need to stand stoic and speak in these really emotional, stoic voices all the time, and everything we do is so important. So whenever somebody with a bit more fun energy comes on the show, honestly, Win is another example of that. But Lex has always been one that it just seems like he's having so much fun with his role. So that's why he's been probably my favorite character that they've introduced for a while. But even he in this episode, like at first, whenever he was doing the whole exposition thing, was kind of boring. And then once he beat Supergirl, then we had a little bit more fun with him singing Queen, it's fine. But then they decided to go into a stupid CGI fight with him because they had to make him powered for some reason. And it looks bad because the CGI in the show has almost never been convincing to me. And then they stop him. And then even afterward, when they say they're going to take him to jail, he's like, well, I'll expose her identity. Then they take him to jail. And then he doesn't expose her identity. And then Lena goes in and wipes his mind of her identity. So what did any of that have to do with anything? I don't know. It seems really pointless to me. Him trapping Supergirl in the Phantom Zone, I mean, obviously that'll be probably a focus for maybe about half this season, which worries me a little bit because it feels like they're doing this because they're going to bring in a threat that's not actually going to be that threatening. So the main focus is going to be, well, Supergirl's the only one that can stop this threat, so let's go get her back so she can stop the threat. And in doing so, I feel like that's going to make the threat a lot less threatening to know that Supergirl could have stopped them right away. If not, then the only other thing they can do is bring in this threat, think, oh, Supergirl's the only one that can stop them. Supergirl comes back, can't stop them, and then they have to find another way to stop them. And I don't know, that just feels like it's building upon itself too much, and it's getting too complicated and too convoluted. And honestly, I do feel like this show has never been good at writing villains in their plan and how the good guys can stop them. Most of the time, it turns into something lucky or some last-minute deus ex machina comes in and saves the day. This is the closest I feel like that they've come to there was an actual plan. Lena had a plan on what to do. You know, after Lex zapped Supergirl with all the kryptonite, she had this little robot thing set to program that once the satellites were stopped, then the suit comes in and essentially heals Kara back to life. that's the closest I've seen to, that was a good plan by the good guys. Most of the time, it's really clever planning by the bad guys. The good guys think they win, but they didn't actually, and then they have to come up with some last-minute plan to stop the bad guys, and they save the day in the nick of time. And I don't know, it's kind of boring when that happens, because it always feels like the writers are just, all right, well, let's write a solution for this since we wrote ourselves into a corner with a bad guy that doesn't seem like they can be stopped. Woo! Andrea, I don't really understand why she still has so much of a story right now, but apparently she faked her dad buying obsidian from her so she didn't go bankrupt, but she's taking over Catco, whatever. What else? William showed up for a minute. I'm still convinced they're going to put Carl and William together by the end of this, because, again, they bickered a lot when they first met each other, so that equals true love in the CW eyes. Oh, Brainy and Nia, I still don't really care about the relationship, and so in this one, there's him apologizing, her being like, you betrayed us, though, like, it's going to take a lot more than that, and then by the end of it, he's still blaming himself, but she's like, but you did help, so it kind of feels like they did that thing where he comes back, he apologizes, halfway through the episode, she turns him down, and not really turns down his apology, but basically tells him how hurt she is, and then by the end of it, you know that she's going to be like, no, but it's okay, like, I do forgive you. And on top of that, something else that made me think of, just because, obviously, I just watched The Flash, and so there was that episode where Barry kind of loses his moral compass in a way, and he starts thinking a lot more logically and not with his heart. That storyline wasn't very well done. It was kind of interesting, but still 10 times better than what they did here, where Brainy's just like, but I don't understand. I mean, it's not logical. And, I mean, if anybody did not see this coming, as Nia's basically forgiving him, I'm thinking, okay, who could not see through what they're trying to do here? Like, the logical machine doesn't understand what she's doing that's more emotional. It's just, it's been done to death. And done, again, in another show that already aired before this episode and did it 10 times better and not even that well. So, yeah. Here we are, though. It's the final season. I'm going to power through. I'm going to get through this. We're going to get through this together. I'm going to do it. So anyways, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now, episode 2, A Few Good Women. Get it? Because a few good men, and there's a trial, and you can't handle the truth, and blah, 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 blah. More of the same. You got these grandiose speeches that don't feel justified, but they feel like they have to have them because, oh, isn't it so powerful, guys? Don't you hear what they're saying and how great our characters are? And they literally have Nia go from last episode, she gets this dream about what Lex's plan is, and she instantly discerns what all that's supposed to mean, to this episode, she goes, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't do anything without my mother and my sister, I just can't, I can't do this on my own. Why? Just so Brainy can have his speech to her, telling her how awesome she is and how she's not a liability. It's literally the only reason. Jean, he's going too hard for all of this. McGon tells him how it is, and he sort of snaps back at her because of it. Why? Just so at the end she can give him a speech about how he was right, even though clearly we saw he was wrong. But that's another thing CW likes to do, is they like to have characters do stuff, make mistakes, and at the end when they apologize for it, whoever was trying to tell them that they were wrong and got proven correct can step in and say, no, you were right. We just saw he went too fast, he jumped at this opportunity too quickly, opened up a portal, nearly got everybody killed, probably just got Silas killed in the process. But no, he was right to do this because, oh, look at what he did. He got a portal open, and now they know. Now they're going to do something else. It's going to be okay. Oh my goodness, and that's the lack of consequences really is what bothers me, I think, because too many times that's how the episode goes. you have the good guys trying to do something. Somebody's trying to tell them, hey, this isn't going to work. They do it anyway. It doesn't work. By the end of it, you got a character going, no. But what you did it with the right intentions, so you were correct. Lex's trial is kind of dumb. You know, he basically kind of calls out Eve, which, you know, kind of makes sense from a legal point of view, you know, because of the fact that she was in love with him. It does sort of muddy up her testimony. But then Lena gets up there, exposes him for who he is. All of the jurors are looking at him like... So, like, I'm looking at their reactions because I'm like, okay, so are they going to play this like the jury agrees with him because he's human, and we're going to go with the whole idea that, yeah, humans suck, and humans just want to believe, you know, somebody who's willing to tell them the truth, blah, 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 blah. Are we going to go with that? Or are we going to go with they see him for the asshole that he is and the terrible person that he is, and they're going to convict him? And so after his little speech, most of the jury looking at him. And then at the end, oh, he's not guilty. You know, we just looked at it and it made sense. There wasn't enough evidence. It was all substantial. Okay, so basically, you wanted us to think that the jury disagreed with him just so you could flip the script and be like, no, everybody agreed with him, because sometimes, you know, people just want somebody who tells them the truth, even if they don't like or even if the truth is ugly, they still just want the truth instead. And even if so, I mean, that they say that like it's a bad thing, but I mean, to be fair, yeah, there is some truth to that. The fact that they don't want somebody who's just gonna lie to them and be all like, oh no, you know, we're totally good people, and then behind the scenes they're doing something ugly. They'd rather just somebody who's upfront about it. Not saying that we necessarily want somebody, you know, who is essentially a criminal doing all this stuff, but it's kind of refreshing. I still don't think the jury would not convict him from that, because they still be like, oh well, you know, it's a little refreshing to hear somebody be honest about it. You're still guilty, though. Instead, they're like, nope, that's enough for people to ignore the law and be like, hey, he's not guilty because he told me the truth. So I don't know what message they're trying to go with that, but it's just kind of dumb. Because, again, you're trying to subvert our expectations. I assumed that the mother did something to affect the jury. Because, again, going from them looking at him disapprovingly to them acquitting him makes me think that there was some underhanded play in there, but by the end of the episode they don't reveal anything like that. So either they're saving that for a reveal in a later episode, or they just wanted to pull the rug out from under us and be like, oh, gotcha, haha, we tricked you, congratulations, I was so shocked, oh no, I can't believe they acquitted him. And also the fact that Lex is still going to be, I guess, the main threat for this season. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do still like Lex as a character. The whole, like, the prosecutor standing up and giving her whole thing about how she's going to prove all this stuff, and his opening statement, no she won't. Just great delivery, funny line. He's still probably my favorite character to watch act on this show. It's still, I don't know, I don't want to see him be the main antagonist. It's more fun, at least from what I saw last season, it's more fun whenever he is an antagonistical character who is maybe trying to help stop some evil bad guy that's even bigger than he is, but also trying to help himself in the process. I like that better than him just being the main focus of the bad guy for the season, especially because we already had that one season. I think it was season 3. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from him, but I think that's almost everything. Yeah, the fighting at the beginning, I just remember the opening scene was all kind of dumb. Like, it was not good fighting. The fact that apparently he has to say the word bat to turn into a bat. Like, I don't know. Is that something that he has to do, or can he just turn into a bat? But he wanted to make sure that everybody at home knew what he was turning into, so he had to go, bat! It's just really dumb. Yeah. Oh, right, Kara's dad. Either this is a hallucination or he's really alive. Either way, it's dumb. Because if it's a hallucination, it's way too easy to see through, because he's like, no, we should just stay here. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, hallucination would try to convince her of that. If he is actually alive, though, and they get him back, what was the story again? Oh, yeah, my planet exploded and I lost my parents. But not really! Everything's hunky-dory, because we don't want any sadness on this show. Everybody's got to be happy. We got to have a happy ending, guys. So Kara's going to get her planet back. She already got her mom back. Now she's going to get her dad back, too. Oh, isn't that just amazing? Take some freaking risks, please. Alright, but anyways, on to the final of these 3 episodes. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 3, Phantom Menaces. So you have a Star Wars-based title, but you make a Star Trek reference in it. No, but I mean, overall, again, just more of the same. The 2 that really pissed me off, though, in this one, as far as, like, the setup for that epic speech that they want to give multiple times in an episode, the 2 that pissed me off the most was Alex trying one time to go get her sister out of the Phantom Zone, which, by the way, did she tell Kelly? Because Lena said she should tell Kelly, and we never saw her telling Kelly, but Kelly's talking as if she understands that Supergirl is Kara. So are we just supposed to know that that's what she did? Because, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. But she tries one time to get Kara out of the Phantom Zone, and then she just gives up. One attempt. Thank God that Thomas Edison didn't stop after one attempt. Because, oh my God. Like, if they had tried multiple things, multiple instances of, well, we'll try this instead, or maybe we'll open this portal, or maybe we'll try this world, maybe we'll go into the Phantom Zone multiple times. Nope. They tried one time to open the Phantom Zone, Salt was fractured, the Phantom things got through, and just, she's dead. I'm going to watch her dying message, because we're not going to get her back. Are you kidding me? God. And again, it's only there so that she can just mope, and then Kelly can give her an inspiring speech, and then she's back on her feet, and then at the end of the episode she could talk about how amazing Kelly is, that she saved her with her speeches, because Kelly's all down on herself, like, I can't save anybody because I tried one time to attack a phantom, even though I'm just human, and I got stopped, and oh, poor pitiful me. Oh, it's okay, you saved me. You were my rock. You inspire me. Get over yourself, writers. My God. And then the other one is, of course, Magan Jean. He tells her, don't go out there. It's an order. She goes out there against his orders. She gets attacked. She nearly dies. He comes back. It's my fault. No. It's my fault. We're both at fault. It's okay. I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. Because literally, as soon as they got her back and on the table, all I could think is, let me guess, he's gonna blame himself, right? He did it. almost instantly. I'm sorry I went against your order. No. It's my fault. What? She explicitly went against your orders, got herself hurt, and all of a sudden you're blaming yourself? I had a suspicion that Martians would be more affected. How does that make it your fault? God. I mean, at the very least, and this is what makes Supergirl for me not as bad as Batwoman, when they do stupid things, it's almost kind of hilarious how stupid it is. Batwoman is just stupid to the point where it's painful. That's hilarious. I mean, just how formulaic, how cliche it is, and how dumb it is to think that Jean Johns is all at fault for Magan getting hurt when she made the decision to go out against his better judgment and got herself hurt in the process. Oh my God. Oh boy. So, outside of that, we've got this Nixley girl or whatever. Apparently same type of being that Mitchell Spittle Dick is. So, I'm assuming he's going to come back this season, which, to be fair, I didn't mind his episode last season. He wasn't as bad as the first time he was around. Still not a huge fan of his because it feels like they're trying to replicate, like, the genie from Aladdin and just doing it poorly most of the time. But, you know, she's here. I'm assuming she's going to turn into a bad guy because she's talking about these false memories that she has from, you know, when Phantom Stone fractured. So I'm assuming she was a bad guy in one of those, and maybe that part of her will come out once they get out of there somehow. I don't know. It seems like they're setting her up to be a bad guy. And maybe this will be how the father ends up not come. Because it would feel very weird if Kara's dad makes it out of there with her. So I'm still assuming either he's a hallucination or they're gonna have to kill him off, right? Because if you don't have him die, then it feels like the whole story of Supergirl, it just comes from nothing. You know, Superman losing his planet, losing his mother and father, getting raised by a human mother and father, that is inspiring. You know, it gives him purpose. He has something to fight for, you know, something bigger than himself because he's carrying the mantle of his family because they died, trying to save his life. It gives him that purpose in life. But if you essentially rewrite and bring Kara's parents back, well then that whole story just feels so cheap and empty. So I have to assume that either this is not really her father or somehow he's gonna die. Like maybe Nixley will kill him or something. Or maybe, I don't know, because it seemed like her magic wasn't quite working until she broke those cuffs, so it seems like that's true. And I don't know. There was a part of my mind that was like, oh, maybe she's the one doing this, but then she talked about how the magic was, like, essentially not working in her. I don't know, it just seems very odd to me, this entire story with him. Lena and Lex going up against each other in this one. Honestly, I'm kind of glad with where it ended, because a majority of this episode, as much as I like Lex, it did feel very childish, you know? Like, Lena and Brainy doing these little childish pranks against him, and he retaliates with something much more serious, and then their reaction is like, I can't believe he would do this. I'm like, he's a psychopath. You knew this, and yet you're still surprised whenever he does something so awful. It's the same thing as Brainy from last season, whenever he's like, I just don't understand. He doesn't use logic. How does he do all of it? Do you not understand who he is? Like, you've known him for... Lena, you've known him for longer than anybody. And yet you're still so shocked when he does something awful and evil and perverse. Like, you should know this. You should know the type of person he is. So why is it so shocking every single time he does something like this? It got old very quickly, so I'm glad it seems like Lena has sort of stepped back and gone, you know what? You want to play these games. You think of this as a game. I'm done. I'm done playing. And honestly, I think that's a good decision. Granted, I still think he's a problem that needs to be dealt with, and they do need to find a way to stop him, because clearly he's still evil, and he's still going to do as much as he can to be evil and take over the world, probably. But from Lena's point of view, what she and Brainy were doing, it was very much just these childish little pranks that he saw as like, oh, well, you do this, I'm going to do this. Ha ha ha. And got you back. It felt like he did see it as a game, and so her sort of pulling out and going, you know what, I'm done. I'm not playing this game with you anymore. It's a more mature decision for her, and I feel like that, from her character growth, makes more sense for her to do. But, again, still don't think... Her just basically saying, I'm done trying to, you know, mess with your stuff at Lex or Luthor Corps or whatever. Like, I think that's a good decision, but I really hope it's not like she's saying, I don't want to mess with him anymore. I'm just done fighting him. You still do need to fight back against what he's trying to do, because he's still a bad guy that needs to be stopped at the end of the day. But, yeah, overall, I mean, again, Batwoman, much more painful, much more of a struggle to get through. This, you just kind of have to get through those scenes where they are making those big, epic speeches, you know, telling people how awesome and how important they are. They happen multiple times in an episode. It gets old very, very quickly. But that's about the only problem I have. Most of the rest of the stuff is either really stupid to the point of being funny, or it can just be fun, like the stuff with Lex and how he acts and all of that. So it's definitely not nearly as painful as Batwoman, but it's still not a good show. Still very much, I would say, the second worst show in the CW. It goes Batwoman way down here, Supergirl a little higher up, Arrow just above that. Flash and Legends of Tomorrow have kind of fluctuated. Like Legends of Tomorrow started off not that great, then got better. Flash started off great and has dropped off a little bit. And then somewhere way above all of them, even though it's not technically connected to the Arrowverse, is Superman and Lois, because that show so far has just been great. But anyways, that's all for these 3 episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. What were your thoughts on these episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Supergirl, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.